Hello everybody, welcome back to Alan Wall's Photography. I am Alan, and this is number 10 in our Lightroom series. It's supposed to be the last one, but it's not going to be. We've got more work to do. Be right back. So here we are at episode number 10 of a 10-part series on the basics of photo editing. And we're not going to finish with 10. In fact, I think I'm just going to keep going with this and maybe go back and take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the stuff that we went over rather fast. The idea was, in this episode, I was going to take you through the map, the book, the slideshow, the print, and the web modules in Lightroom Classic, because we've spent virtually the whole time in either the library or the develop module. But in just going through everything I want to show you in the map and the book, I realized that it would be far too long a video, and you wouldn't want to watch that long of a video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the map module and the book module today, and they're very cool. They have some very interesting features that you'll probably want to know about. And then I'll just keep going and do a separate one for printing and one for the web stuff and one for the slideshow. And we'll just see how long we can keep this thing going. So for today, we're going to do two things. We're going to get into the map first, and then we'll take a look at the book and see if there's anything in there that interests you. So, enough talking. Let's get straight into Lightroom. And here we are in the library module. Now, the whole purpose of this map thing is in case you want to catalog your photographs based on where they were taken, which makes sense. I never bothered setting it up, frankly, because I don't do a lot of travel photography. Most of my photography is either in the studio, and I know exactly where that is. I don't need a map to find it. And the stuff that I do, a little bit of landscape photography and that type of thing, is mostly around here. So there's not a great value for me to use the map module. But after really getting into it and seeing everything that it could do, I thought there's certainly enough in here that would be interesting for most other people. The first thing to understand is the purpose of the map module in Lightroom is so that you can geotag your photographs, so that you can keep a record of where your photographs were taken, and you can even go to the map to select photographs you want to look at. So for a travel photographer, I could see this as being extremely valuable. There are two ways that you can geotag your images. The first way is to allow your camera to do it. Allow your camera to record the GPS data of where the photographs were taken and put it in the metadata with each photograph, which would be great. And I would do that if my camera did it, but it doesn't. In fact, none of my cameras do it except the phone. My phone does it, I think, but it's an old one. So the first thing I thought I'd mention to you is that find out whether or not your camera can even do GPS, because if it can't, then the only way you're going to get this information into Lightroom is to manually enter it, which is super easy to do, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that. But if you're interested in using the map function in Lightroom, it really would be ideal for you if you could set up your camera to track your GPS location. Now, I did do a little bit of research here for you. Canon, several Canons, the 6D Mark IV, the 5D Mark IV, the 6D and the 7D Mark II, they all have GPS built in. The Hasselblad X1D that's $9,000 worth of camera I'm never going to buy, but that has GPS. I'd be kind of pissed if it didn't. The Leica SL has it, and all phones have it, of course, and only one Nikon has built-in GPS, and that's the D5300. That's one of the small crop frame cameras. The Pentax K1 and the K3 have it, and some of the Sony mirrorless has GPS. There are some cameras that don't have a built-in GPS device, but they are GPS enabled, meaning that if you buy some other little piece of equipment, a little dongle that plugs in, it becomes GPS capable, and that would be the Pentax K52. Might not be reading that right because my handwriting is atrocious. The Nikon D7200, the D810, the D5, the D500, and the 5600 all have GPS capability. Amazingly, I was looking over there for it, but it's actually right there. You're in it. My D850 does not have GPS, and it's not GPS enabled, which means they don't want you to know where you are, I presume. The Leica M is GPS enabled, as is the Canon Rebel 7i and the 77D. I don't really know anything about Canon, frankly, but if they are models, then you're good to go. So I discovered that there's a way that I can set up my Nikon D850 so that it communicates with my phone, and my phone measures where I am GPS and sends it to the camera, which then adds it to the metadata. And that's bad on so many levels. First of all, it took me hours to figure out how to do it. Then it drains the battery on my phone unbelievably quickly, having the GPS on all the time. And you have to set up that snap bridge thing, Nikon snap bridge. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. The thing kept disconnecting. And then when I finally did get a series of, I went out and walked around near where I live and took a bunch of photographs with my phone with me to swap the GPS data around. And when I finally got it into the map, they were off by like hundreds of yards. I mean, they weren't anywhere close to where I took the picture. So yeah, I may use this some if I travel with the camera, but I think I'll just enter the information manually, and that's what I'll show you. So for the map module, we'll start here where I am now in the library module, and I've just picked 5 photographs that were taken around here fairly recently, and we've got one of them lit up here. Now, if you do have a camera that can track the GPS data, or you're using your phone or whatever, it's a good thing to go to where your name is on the library panel and click the little drop-down menu. And one of the things there is called address lookup. Make sure that address lookup is not paused, because if address lookup is on and running, then when you download photographs that have GPS data in the metadata, it'll import them with your photograph, and it'll drop them in the map for you, which is super handy if you can do that. I have mine turned on because some of these I used the phone to do it, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. So we're just going to look at these 5 photographs, and let's click on the map module to open it up. Okay, so here we are. Now, you can pick one of several different views. They've got a road map, a satellite, a hybrid, and most of the time I use hybrid. It basically is a Google Earth kind of picture, but it has street names and place names on it, so you know where you are. It's the most useful of them. It also gives you the option of a terrain map, and you can have a light or dark theme. Yeah, well, I don't like that very much. So I'll go back to the dark. So when you're in the map, obviously this is too zoomed out. You zoom in all the ways you normally would with the wheel on your mouse, so you can hit the up and the down, the plus, the minus buttons. You can actually use plus and minus on your computer keyboard, or you can use this little slider. And so my computer is telling me that Lightroom is telling me that I have 5 photographs at this location. So what we'll do is we'll zoom in on this location, and here we go. Now this location is actually interesting, and that's the reason I picked it, because I'm going to move these photographs around a little bit. It's in the back of an apartment complex, and this little path here goes through a swamp, which is a swamp that I go to hunt for snakes. And it's a boardwalk the whole way, and then it breaks out of the swamp and the woods to a pier. And these pictures were taken all along this path, and I want to distribute them where they need to be. So if we... I'm on the wrong kind of map. I need to be on the hybrid. Here we go. So here's where the path is in the woods. You can't actually see it, but you can see the pier itself. We'll zoom in even further. There we go. So brilliant. Now my photographs. Let's pick one of these photographs. This particular one I'm going to place on the map was taken from right here on this corner, and I'll drag the photograph onto the picture, and then I'll drop it exactly where I was standing. And now you'll see what'll happen is, there you go. So that picture has now been geotagged to this location, and if I go over and look at the metadata, you'll see the GPS coordinates are right there for that photograph. You'll also notice that this tag, which is off in the woods somewhere, has the number 4 instead of 5. That's because when I placed this photograph at that spot, it removed it from this other category and placed it where I wanted it. Now all you have to do is hover over the flag, the tag, and it'll show you the picture. So I took one other picture from that same spot. I think it's this one, and I'm going to put it, well, I'll put it in exactly the same spot. Now there are 2 of them there, and if you hover over it, it'll allow you to scroll back and forth between those photographs. And there's one of them here that was taken way back up in the woods, like probably about there. We hover over that, there we go, you can see the boardwalk. And here's one that we actually used the week before last, I think, in a tutorial. It's the one of the tree. I took that right there. Yeah, you might remember this photograph, which is actually pretty cool. That's the tree. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, that's the tree that we were photographing. All right, the last one I took at the end of the pier, so we'll move that one out to the end of the pier. And that's it. Now I have all 5 of the photographs geotagged exactly where I took the photographs, as opposed to just roughly where Lightroom wanted to put them. So at any time, if I had been doing this with all of my photographs, then I could go to any point on the map that I'd ever been to and just hover over a particular flag and look at the photographs that were taken there. So it's pretty nifty, and I think you'll have fun playing around with it. And it's an interesting and different way to keep track of your photographs. Now, it doesn't change where you have them stored in your collections or where you have them stored in your filing system. That all stays the same. So this is an added level of organization. Now, one thing I'll tell you, a lot of people don't want people to know where photographs were taken, especially down to the GPS coordinates. So if you ever want to export a photograph, but you don't want that information included, I'll show you how you do that, because that's fairly important if you don't want people to know where it's coming from or where you were. So we'll pick this photograph and I'll double click on the image and hit export from the menu that pops up. And as far as where it's going, I'll enter that later on. So we do our settings the way we want it. We'll just make this a JPEG. Make it a bit bigger than that. There we go. So nice big JPEG, sharpened for the screen, and it's here under metadata. If you hit the drop down menu, it will give you the choice of having your copyright only, your copyright and contact info, which I always have on. If you click all metadata and then remove location info, that will get rid of the GPS data. But another way to do it is to specify what metadata you want. And if it doesn't include the GPS data, it won't be in there. So I always include the copyright and contact information at least. So if you want to send all the data except location data, just uncheck this box. That's all you got to do with it. I'll cancel that because I'm not exporting it anywhere. So that's really all there is to the map module. Cool, interesting way to organize your photographs around where they were taken. Okay, any questions? No questions? We will move on to the book. And this is a really, really nifty and cool module. So let me tell you what the book module is. I really didn't have a clue what it was. Except that maybe it had something to do with books, but it's actually a way that you can put together a photo book. Makes sense, right? It's all in the name. But it's actually very, very cool the way this thing works. So the best place to start is with your idea. Like, I love to take photographs of insects. And I have lots of them. And I was thinking, oh, it would be really nice to make a book of my insects, a representative collection of my favorite insect shots. I don't know who I'd give it to, seeing as I don't know anybody who likes insects, but that's a problem I'll solve later. So the way you could do it is, of course, you could take the photographs, print them off, trim them up and slap them in a scrapbook, which is great. And I do that, actually. I keep books of prints like that. But this is very, very cool because there's a way that you can take your photographs and actually put them in a bound book that you can then give to people for Christmas presents. Though get kind of expensive, I imagine. So the first thing you need to do is think about, what do you want to put in your book? Do you want to just have pictures, or do you want to have words and pictures? And do you want it to be big or small? Or there's a whole lot of stuff you have to think about. But the first thing you need to think about is, what pictures do I want to use? And in what order do I want to use them? What's the story I'm trying to tell? And the best place to do that is in your library module right at the beginning. Once you have the idea, don't go into the book module and try to do it the other way around. So what I did was I went through all of my insect pictures and I tried to pick representative shots of different kinds of insects and different parts of the insects and so on. And then the next thing you need to do is put together the writing that you're going to use. Now, in this insect book, what I decided to do was just use the actual scientific name of the insect as a caption. And the common name of the insect as a title. So what I did was I started a new collection. You know how you do that. You just press on the plus sign on the collections, and named it Insect Book, and started pulling the different images that I wanted to use from my file system and dropping them into this collection until I had, I think, about 22 of them. And then for each one, I would click on it and I'd go into the metadata, which is in the right-hand side of the library panel. And I went ahead and put the title of the shot. This is a golden silk spider. And then the caption, which is its scientific name, the Nephila clavipes. So I did that. I was going to say I did it for all of the pictures, but I did it for some of the pictures. So you'd probably want to do it for all of the pictures. But this is where you'll see the caption, and all this stuff will get pulled into the book for you automatically, which is absolutely tremendous. So once you've done this, you've laid out all of your pictures, and you know what you want to call them, and you know the order you want them in. Then all you have to do is go to the book tab. Once you get in here, let me show you around real quick. You'll see, first of all, it's taken all of the pictures that I had selected and put in that collection, and it's laid them out. Each of these is a book open, right? So you'll see that, let's start at the top. On the first page, we've got that big golden spider. The dark part here is the inside of the front cover. And what I've done is I've left the other pages blank, but you don't have to. So let me walk you through all the book setting options. Before we do that, there is one other place you probably ought to look. At the top, I'm sorry you can't see this, but on the Lightroom Classic toolbar at the top, there's one called Book and Book Preferences. If you click on that, it will tell you how to, you will tell it, I'm sorry, don't let Lightroom tell you what to do. You tell it. It'll let you choose whether or not you want to zoom your photographs to fill the space, because you're gonna decide exactly how big your space is for your photograph. And that reminds me, a very important thing. I had to go back and do all this later. But before you come into the book module, make sure that you have cropped your photographs to the right aspect ratio to fit in these squares. Now, we're going to look at all the different shapes and sizes you can have, but you do need to make sure, if you're going to do 8x10s, which is standard, and that's what the book I chose, 8x10s. I had to go back into the library and one by one go into the develop module with them and crop them so that they would be 8x10s, exactly the way I wanted them to be. That way, when they zoom to fill, you're not getting blank areas in your book. And click this one that says Start New Books by Autofilling. That means it's going to take the books that were in your collection and it's going to do this layout. You can change everything, but it's going to give you a starting place. And then it gives you the option of putting text into your photograph. If you have this clicked, it will import the text you wrote. But we'll get into that in just a second. So let's look at what we've got here. Under book settings, you can choose whether you want to have this stuff come out as JPEGs. In other words, you can save the book as just a stack of JPEGs or as a PDF. But this thing I'd never heard of before is the blurb photo book. Or you can do a magazine or a trade book, whatever a trade book is. But when you click blurb photo book, what that does is, as it builds this book for you, it's doing it in a way that you can then buy it directly through Lightroom from this company called Blurb. Isn't that amazing? I thought that was amazing. It's expensive too, but there are ways that you can cut down on the expense. So let's look at the options. The size, I picked standard landscape, 8 by 10, but you could do it as portraits, you know, up and down, as a little square, or as a big square, or as a large landscape. So there are several different options that you have. I chose just standard landscape because most of my insect pictures were in that orientation, 8 by 10 or 10 by 8. What else can we pick? What kind of cover you have? I like the idea of having the one with the little flap on it at the end. So that's what I picked, hardcover with a dust jacket. If I'd picked just hardcover, you'll see that it doesn't have that extra flappy piece coming over, so the picture is just put on the cover. But I rather like the idea of folding that out and seeing the bigger picture, because they both look like they could use that. You can even pick your own paper, shiny paper or matte paper, or I love the let's see what Proline Pearl. Oh, that adds quite a bit of money to it, but we'll use that Proline Pearl photo. This thing that says logo page, all that is let me show you what the logo is. On the last blank page, they put this tiny little blurb logo. It's advertising for them, but look what happens if I turn that off. It goes from $61.79 to $71.79. That's $10 to have that little blurb logo on there. So yeah, go for it. Leave it on. Save $10. If you hit this Learn More, it'll tell you all about the different options working with Blurb, and you should go read it. It's full of good information. So probably the most important panel in the book layout over here on the right is the Auto Layout tab. This allows you to decide exactly what your book looks like, and it is incredibly versatile. You can do just about anything. But let me show you. I'll take you through it. First of all, the presets. It comes with these these 3 presets already loaded. I've actually made a couple of presets since then, and I'll show you how to do that, but it's dead simple. This right now, the one that's clicked, is left blank, right one photo, which is exactly how you can see the pages are laid out. There's a photo on the right and the left page is blank. I could also change that to add room for photo text, which would go underneath or wherever you wanted to put the text. But let me show you how you first of all change the layout, because there are a couple of things you have to do. So let's go with one photo per page. We click on that, and the first thing you have to do is clear the old layout, and then with one photo per page selected, auto layout. And that will, as you can see, now it's put a photograph on every page, which is fine, but it's a bit busy. I don't really like the look of that at all. So we'll clear that out. We'll go back to left blank, one photo on the right, and then hit auto layout, and it sets it up again. Now, say you're looking at this and think, you know, that's nice, I like it, but I don't really like these white stripes at the top and the bottom of the page. That doesn't look good. So what you can do is click on the drop-down menu under the presets and go to Edit Auto Layout Preset, and this is the real meat of this app. It will allow you to make any changes you want. Right now, this is the one that's selected, which is basically a full bleed. The picture goes all the way to the edges, but because it doesn't go to the edges top and bottom because of the aspect ratio, I don't like the way that looks. So I can just change to hit this one with the border, or I could add a bit of text above and below, or put the text down the side, or add spaces anywhere I want. Literally, there must be 30 or 40 different presets that you can use. You can even put a border around them if you want, but I like this plain simple one with the white border all the way around the outside. So you just click on that, and then you can either zoom the photos to fit or to fill that space. I like to fill it because having tried several different ways, the fit leaves a little more room top and bottom than I wanted. And you check this to add photo text if you want the app to pull your text from the metadata. We'll leave that unchecked for now, and we'll hit save. Actually, we'll hit update. No, we won't hit update preset. You could update the preset and it would ask you to give it a name. Well, it's going to ask you for a name anyway. So we'll put in insects. That's like the third preset, called insects. And now when we clear the old layout and hit auto layout, it will reformat the book exactly the way you just told it to, with the border all the way around. Very nice. Okay. You can add page numbers just by clicking on the page numbers panel here, and you can tell it where to put them. Top, side, bottom, top corner, bottom corner, wherever. I put them in the middle at the bottom and just on the right page, but you can set that up any way you want. You can also add pages down here. Now, one important thing, the images are kind of small here. If you want to see one page at a time, if you hit Command or Control on a PC and then the letter R, it'll show you just one folded out page, and you can go back through them and get a much better feel for it. Now, if you want to look closer at the actual photograph, it's Command T, and it'll show you just that one page. And actually, if you go Command U, it'll zoom in on the image, way in on the image. So if you wanted to check the eyes out, or they're nice looking eyes. Anyway, I digress. And there's actually a zoom doodaddy up here that allows you to change the actual amount of zoom in that view. But the thing to remember is to go back to that original layout with all the pages shown. Just hit Command E. There you go, and you're right back there. There are some nice pictures on here, actually. I like that. All right, so I digress. You can show guides if you want to. I suppose there's a reason to do this, to see where the bleed area is and what have you, to make sure everything fits. I had that on earlier, and then I turned it off because the app was doing it all for me. I just left it to it. You can increase the amount of padding around the outside with this padding slider. It's very sensitive though. You don't want to bash it too hard. And you can add a photo border color and change the size and position of the text box. Yeah, just go through these and look at them. They're all absolutely common sense. And you'll notice they're not lit up because I didn't select the box to include text from the preset. And one thing I did was, you can put a background behind it. I'm not sure why I'd want to put a picture behind it. It would just distract from it. But what I did decide to do was add a background color. And I think I picked a gray. Yeah, I like that. That really, and you can also select a specific color, but I like the grayscale there like that. And that then, let's go back to the regular view, and that puts it on a gray background, makes the images pop more, I think. And then you're done. You're done. So once you've had a good look over your book and you like what you see and everything's excellent and you haven't made any spelling mistakes, you just go all the way to the bottom and click Send Book to Blurb. And so long as you're plugged into the internet, off your book will go. You'll hear your money getting sucked out of your credit card. And at some point in the future, presumably, they'll send you the book. I haven't done it yet. You could probably tell. I'm definitely going to do it. There's some people that that I'm fairly irritated with that I'll send books to. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. So we're gonna call it quits there, because that's a lot of material. I mean, between the map and the book, I think there's a lot of ways you can have fun with this. We will take a look at the slideshow and web modules later on in a different video, and I'll be spending an entire video, maybe more than one, on the whole printing thing. I don't know if you have a photo printer, but understanding the way the print module works in Lightroom is absolutely critical to making good prints. But for today, we'll call it quits. You made it all the way to 10. You should be very proud of yourself. And I'll see you back. I'm going to stop giving them numbers from now on. I'll just we'll just call them regular tutorial videos. So have yourself a good week or good weekend, depending on what day it is. Stay out of trouble, have fun, take lots of photographs, and I will see you soon in the next video. Cheerio.